Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Review. So this video is long overdue. This starts a series that was really a viewer request from one of my earliest subscribers. It's somebody I know in real life, and I have been asked about this series, and so I'm happy to finally be able to start in on this. The truth is I probably would have started the series sooner, but I had some delusions of grandeur, I think, about how I wanted to do it. And what I had in mind was beyond the realms, and as far as the way that I wanted to film and present it. I'm still going to basically run the series in the same way. I realized that I didn't have the time, mostly the time, to get everything recorded the way I thought I wanted to, and I decided it's just time. The fact is that I've had these items since October, so we're going on 4 or 5 months now that I've had these, and so here we go. As you see from the title, we are looking at budget-minded survival knives from, I procured these from Amazon. I'm sure that you can get similar from elsewhere. We will be going through and doing, we're going to actually start and finish the series with sharpness testing. That'll let us look at how these do for edge holding, if any survive. I'm going to be batoning these knives through firewood with the grain and cross grain. You know, something that you might be doing if you're using them in a camping or survival scenario. We'll see how the edge stands up against probably the edge of a paint can or something. That way, if you're using it and you're trying to get through a piece of wood that has barbed wire in it or something, you can kind of see how it does for that. Once again, these are supposed to be survival knives, so we are going to put them through the gamut, and we're going to see if any of these sub $20 survival knives from Amazon go the distance. But before we get into all that, we need to take a look at these knives, and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to unbox these 5 blades. I'm going to give you guys a look at it and give you my first impressions on each of these blades. So while we're going through this, I'm going to let you know how much I paid for them originally. And down in the pinned comment, if any of them catch your eye and you want to just go ahead and buy one without waiting to see what the testing looks like, you can do that. I will hold off any judgment aside from first impressions until the end of this series, so I can actually give you some conclusions based on how they do for testing. Okay, we are going to go through these from least expensive to most expensive, and once again, this is based on date of purchase, which was, I had said October, and it was actually the very beginning of November, so I do apologize for that. And to start off with, we have the Jungle Master 15-inch hunting knife. It comes in a plain olive drab green box. And this is the best that your $12 can get for a survival knife. We have a plain folded nylon sheath. Simple snap closure, and aggressive serrated saw edge, false edge on the back here, and a traditional Bowie style knife. Feels plenty sharp. Let's it'll shave a little bit. I wouldn't want to actually try to shave my face with it. And you see here with the large ring, let's see, there's a very large ring here. And this lug on the back it wants to be a bayonet. But as far as I can tell from my research, there is no bayonet socket ever that matches up with this. At very best, I would say it's made for, like, you know, getting somebody's attention, knocking them on the skull. The handle feels like it might end up being really loose. It's a fairly comfortable handle. There is a little bit of there's a swell here to engage your hand. Obviously, behind the, I'm hoping I can remember all these terms right. Behind the ricasso here, there is a good guard that if you had to stab with this, it will stop your hand from riding up the blade. And then back here at the pommel, a guard there as well. Use some of my notes from my live stream, and let's just see if I'm in frame here. Yeah, it does not want to engage paper. So for a survival type knife, though, I don't know that it needs to be razor sharp for paper, just sharp enough to cut. And again, we will be testing that as we move forward. Fact of the matter is, I'm not sure that any of these are going to survive very well. Obviously, at sub $20, most, if not all of these are made in China. Matter of fact, I don't know if it will focus on it, but right there in front of the guard, it actually says made in China. Roughly 9 3/4 inches of that 15-inch overall length is blade. And I seem to recall that all of these are between 8 and 10-inch blades. That was kind of the standard that I set. This one, again, though, is the cheapest of the cheap, $11.90 at time of purchase. Time will tell how the Jungle Master does. Next up, we have the 12-inch Tactical Bowie Survival and Hunting Knife with sheath. This is $14.75. You can see here on the case it says Snake Eye. We have a hard plastic scabbard with some nylon shoelace type material. Instead of a snap closure, this has a multi-part. So you put that through there and that through there. That's fiddly, that's plastic, that will break, no question in my mind. Of course, we didn't buy these for the sheaths necessarily, which is entirely plastic and nylon. Here you can see has another, they really like that system there where you can just put that through your belt and then stick that through, and yep. Anyway, I do like the recurve style blade on this. Has that nice belly. This is almost a, except for the fact that it's not curved, it's almost like a kukri style knife blade. Again, from the out of the box, it's a decent edge on it. Also made in China. Once again, not quite sharp enough to shave with out of the box. And I will not be doing anything to the edges on these to move forward. How they come out of the box is how they'll be tested. Aggressive double saw edge on the back. Again, false edge at the behind the tip. Very aggressive texturing on the handle. But this handle assembly is entirely plastic. Feels like it's going to create a hot spot right there. Just looking at some of the quality of the grind. Let's see if I can get that in focus there. I don't think it's going to focus for me. But the grind quality at the back of that is just It's just suspect. Blade on this one is right at 7 inches. So there you go, maybe a 7 to 10 with a 12-inch overall. This one does not make any pretense at being a bayonet. There's no loop on the front. It is a threaded tang. So another one with a very cheap handle on it, and even if the knife survives the testing, I'll be very surprised if the handle does. Not liking this closure system here. Next up, coming in at $15.99, we have the KCC Edge Bowie Tactical Rambo Hunting Camping, lots and lots of things. 12.5-inch fixed blade survival tool. Yet another that wants to pretend that we are a bayonet. See the nice loop there with no attachment system. Simple Velcro closures on the handle. Does have loops on the sides of your sheath if you want to attach this to your chest rig or plate carrier for all of your LARPing needs. Another made in China blade. Again, at this price point, I'm not surprised by that, and it doesn't necessarily concern me overall. Sawback blade. Again, pretending that we are a bayonet, it has a false edge with a loop here that on a real bayonet would interface with a section on your sheath so that you could have a wire cutter, but you notice that that is nowhere to be found on here. Yet again, a hollow plastic handle. Has a fuller on the edge of the blade. I don't know how well that's showing up on the camera for you. AKA a blood groove. Very sharp on this one. This one actually is shaving my arm, so there's that. Let's see if it will actually cut the... That one will actually... It's actually wanting to cut the paper, so... sharpest of all of them I've looked at so far. Again, just looking at the knife, can't take a guess as to the quality of the heat treat or anything until we get into testing. We're really not going to be able to make a lot of conclusions about that. It was a just over 12-inch overall length with a 7.5-inch blade. Up next, we have two that came in at $19.99. So in no particular order. Next, we have the K exclusive Amazon Jungle Survival Sawback Bowie knife. This one with a faux leather sheath that you can see is already cracking, and a foam along the edges. Simple snap closure here. Of course, when they say saw back, I would not actually attempt to saw anything with that. Once again, a classic Bowie shape, handcrafted in China. It does have, though, a compass on the end, which more or less appears to be accurate. Inside the grip, this one does have an actual survival kit. We have a lead sinker. We have some fishing lines, a fishing hook, a match, some needle and thread, a safety pin. So it does make an actual effort to have a few survival items. And again, gives you space to store should you find yourself needing to replace those. As we go forward on our testing, we will have to see how well all of that holds up. Now, The edge out of the box is, I mean, I can feel a little bit of a drag there. I can feel that there is some sharpness to it. I certainly would not want to take my finger this way. Not the sharpest of the bunch. Won't be doing your morning shaving with this knife. But in a survival situation, that may not be your biggest concern. Yeah, not super sharp. The handle is a metal cylinder that has then been wrapped with thread of some sort. It's not 550 cable or anything. It doesn't look like it's made to be used in and of itself in a survival situation. So we will have to see moving forward. And again, this sheath is just something. Look, that's actual foam of some sort on the edges. All right. That has an 8.5-inch blade, 13 inches overall. And then finally, we have the Mossy Oak survival knife. This one does have the nicest packaging. This is kind of thing that I would anticipate seeing on the shelf at a Walmart or maybe a Cabela's. It is Mossy Oak branded. And once again, $19.99. It's the Warhorse. It's got to be good. All right, our Mossy Oak Warhorse comes with a ballistic nylon sheath with looks like it might have a Kydex insert of some sort. Also comes with a sharpening stone and a flint, looks like. Yes, so it's got a sharpener and a fire starter, which I haven't looked into how to use, but they do have a storage space here on the back. This one makes no pretense at being a bayonet. Has a rubberized grip, probably the most comfortable handle overall. It's hard plastic here behind the lanyard loop, rubberized up there. And just got a metal guard there. Once again, the saw, I don't know that you'll actually be sawing with it. Traditional Bowie shape. The edge on this is very similar to the Amazon Jungle Hunter, where I'm feeling some drag. And then here at the very end, actually, the blade doesn't actually go all the way to the end. It flares out there. Yeah, definitely not super sharp, but that may work well in the context of a survival knife. Yeah, there are places that the blade is sort of sharp, but overall not really. So there's the Mossy Oak Overwatch. It's coming in at 10-inch blade, so it is the largest blade overall, and ties for the longest overall length at 15 inches. Alright guys, well, there's your unboxing. Take a look at them. If I had to guess, well, first let me tell you what we're going to do. If you are a fan of a certain History Channel reality series, that involves knives and making knives, you will see the inspiration for the testing that we're going to do. Just start by testing for sharpness, and again, I want to start and finish with this. We will be doing an apple slice. Then we're going to baton the blades with the grain and across the grain with some firewood to test the strength of the knife. So some of these knives aren't going to do very well in the sharpness test. Overall, though, for a survival knife, I don't know that it needs to be a razor blade, just sharp enough to do what it needs to. All of these do have a decent point for their stabby stick duties, and I think that they'll be sharp enough for the kind of things that you would use a survival knife for. I don't know. From there, we are going to, and some of these aren't going to survive the strength test. That's what I was getting through. At sub $20, I really question the quality of heat treat, the overall QA of all of these blades. So that will remain to be seen, but my gut tells me we're going to lose at least one, if not a couple of these while we're doing the strength test. And that'll give us an opportunity to kind of look at the grain structure, and we'll talk about that a little bit, kind of cross that bridge if we get there. From there, we are going to continue with some strength testing. We're going to be hacking down onto the edge of a paint can. We'll take 3 good swipes at it, and it's more to see what that does to the edge of the knife, because it's, in my mind, it's not unheard of that you might be using a survival knife as a machete of sorts and end up in a situation where you hit it against some barbed wire or something similar. From there, we may use it as a can opener. Once again, it is a survival knife, so that's a thing that I could foresee us doing. And then finally, after all that's said and done, any survivors from there, we will take them back to a sharpness test, and we will do another apple chop and see how the rest of the abuse has changed their ability to cut through a row of apples. And after that, see about drawing some conclusions. We may find that one of these is a perfectly acceptable sub $20 knife, and we might find that these are all complete garbage and we are looking at a waste of $100. So I do want to thank my current and previous Patreon supporters. You guys did help buy these. If you would like to help support the channel on Patreon, you can do that on the link on screen right now. If you are a shooter or an outdoors person, you all know that it's already an expensive hobby, and it turns out that adding it to YouTube makes it even more expensive. So I appreciate any support that you can give the channel. I thank you so much to those of you who have already chosen to do so. If you're not in a position to support the channel financially, please at least share the videos, share the channel with your friends. While you're at it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to ring that notification bell so you can see when new content drops. Beyond that, check out the channel over on Facebook and Instagram. That username's up on your screen right now. You get some behind the scenes looks. In this case, my social media followers had a 5-month preview on this particular series that we're starting now. Sometimes you'll get things like that. Sometimes it's just political commentary. It can be important news bulletins for the Second Amendment. Gives us it even gives us a way to have some two-way communication as opposed to just the videos. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.